everyone. Welcome back to Daily Easy English Talk. I'm Emma.
And I'm Jack. Thanks for joining us.
Today, we're talking about something I think we all grapple with. Jumping into a conversation, when you've got something important to say, but you absolutely don't want to be rude or just talk over someone. So how do you do that gracefully? That's what we're exploring.
Yeah, the classic communication puzzle, isn't it? Because talking effectively isn't just, saying your piece. It's also really about managing that conversational back and forth, respecting when others are speaking. And these phrases we're looking at, they're like practical tools. They help signal what you're doing politely.
Exactly. Tools.
Yeah.
And it's kind of amazing how just like a few specific words can shift an interruption from maybe annoying to totally okay.
It really is. What strikes me is how these little phrases, they sort of acknowledge the other person's space, even while you're, stepping into it.
Yeah.
You're basically saying, hey, I know I might be cutting in here, and it softens the whole thing.
Right. Okay. So first up, just owning it directly. Like, sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah.
why does that simple apology work so well?
Well, it's direct, like you said. And it kind of disarms potential irritation right away. By saying sorry, you're acknowledging you're breaking the usual turn-taking rule. It signals that your point isn't about grabbing the spotlight, but something you feel is important enough to add despite the interruption. It's just good social grease, really.
Okay, social grease. I like that. And then there's a variation. I didn't mean to cut you off. How's that one different?
That one's a bit more specific, I think. It usually comes after you realize you've, talked right over the end of their sentence. It's more reflective. And often you'd pair it with something like, please go on, or what were you saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you're actively giving the floor back. It shows you actually do value what they were saying, and you're willing to pause. It's about fixing the flow you disrupted.
I see. So one's a general heads up, the other's more like a mid-action correction.
Got it. What if you want to sort of test the waters before you fully dive in? That's where asking permission works, even if it's super quick. Something like, can I just say something quickly?
Mm-hmm.
It subtly changes the dynamic, doesn't it? You're not just barging in, you're making a small request. It feels less, aggressive, and it gives the other person a split second to mentally prep for your input. It respects their current hold on the conversation.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like easing the door open instead of kicking it down. What about slightly more formal situations, like meetings?
Right, exactly. For those, maybe something like, my apologies for jumping in fits a bit better. Apologies just sounds a touch more formal than sorry sometimes.
Mm.
It maintains that professional tone while doing the same job, acknowledging the interruption politely. Shows you respect the structure of the discussion.
Okay. And the last one seems almost like the gold standard of politeness. Please finish. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, definitely. That one's great because it puts the focus straight back on the other person. It clearly shows that even though you had something to say, your priority is letting them finish their thought. It's really useful if you start to interrupt and then think, oh, wait, maybe their point is more important right now, or actually, I can wait. It's a strong signal of respect.
So wrapping this up then, having these kinds of phrases ready to go, it's not just about manners, is it? It feels more like having practical strategies, tools, like you said, for navigating conversations smoothly. It lets you add your thoughts without, causing friction, and maybe helps you feel a bit more confident about speaking up when you need to.
Absolutely. And it makes you think, doesn't it? This whole idea of being mindful about interrupting, having these little apologies or permissions ready. Does that ultimately make fast-paced conversations, better? Does it genuinely create space for more thoughtful ideas to surface? Or, on the flip side, does it risk kind of slowing things down too much, maybe stifling some of that natural energy and spontaneity? It's something interesting to chew on, perhaps, the next time you find yourself in a really lively discussion wanting to jump in.
Like you said earlier, just knowing the phrases isn't quite enough. How do they actually sound? How do they feel in a real conversation?
That's the key, isn't it? They need to roll off the tongue naturally, not sound like you're reading from a, politeness manual.
Totally. So let's put them into practice. We can maybe act out a few quick scenarios, just to give you, the listener, a better sense of the rhythm, the tone. how they fit.
Good idea. Let's create some mini dialogues and hear these phrases in the wild.
All right, scenario one. Let's do a classic work meeting, probably online these days. Someone's presenting some data. I'll be the presenter. You be the colleague who needs to jump in with a really quick urgent update.
Got it. You set the scene.
Okay, here we go. Adopts a slightly more formal presentation tone. So as you can see from the Q2 projections, we're anticipating steady growth, particularly in the European market based on the March data.
Cutting in clearly but politely. Sorry to interrupt, but the March report was just updated 5 minutes ago with revised figures.
Slight pause, shifting tone. Oh, okay, wow. Thanks for flagging that immediately. That definitely changes the picture. Let's pause here and look at those revised numbers first.
See how that felt? The info was genuinely urgent and relevant right then.
Yeah, it stopped me from continuing with potentially wrong info.
Right, and sorry to interrupt, but acknowledge the interruption while immediately signaling why it was necessary. It was direct, efficient, totally appropriate for that context.
Feel functional, needed, and the apology just smoothed it over instantly.
Oh.
Okay, cool. Next up, casual chat. Friends talking, maybe sharing stories. I'm telling you about something funny that happened.
Okay. And I'll accidentally jump in. Maybe I get excited or misjudge a pause.
Animated, friendly tone. So anyway, I finally get the IKEA shelf assembled, right? It looks great. Then I realize I put the main shelf in upside down and all the little holes for the pegs are on the top. And I couldn't believe
Jumping in excitedly. That's like that time I catch myself quickly. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Please go on. What did you do? That sounds exactly like something I'd do.
Right, no worries. Well, I had to take the whole thing apart again.
That felt much more relaxed, right?
Totally.
Overlaps happen all the time when friends are chatting excitedly. The O shows that instant realization. I didn't mean to cut you off, addresses it, and crucially, please go on, immediately gives the floor back, showing you value their story, keeps the friendly vibe going.
Yeah, it instantly reset things. Didn't feel awkward, just a quick correction. Okay, scenario 3. A slightly more structured group discussion, maybe deciding something as a team.
Okay. Let's say you've just finished making your case for a particular option, and I want to introduce a contrasting viewpoint before everyone just agrees with you.
Thoughtful, concluding tone. And so, considering the budget constraints and the tight timeline, I really think option A is our most viable path forward.
Interjecting respectfully, perhaps a bit formally.
Yep.
My apologies for jumping in, but I think we might be overlooking a key risk associated with option A that we haven't discussed yet.
Pausing, considering. A key risk. Okay, that's important. What did you have in mind?
Hear the formality shift there.
Definitely. My apologies for jumping in. Sounds more considered.
Right. It fits that slightly more formal group setting. You're acknowledging you're stepping in, perhaps before your official turn, especially because you're about to offer a challenge or a different perspective. But I think it signals professionalism even as you interject.
Frames it like a necessary contribution to the structured debate, not just talking over.
Got it. Okay. Another friendly chat, maybe just sharing observations.
Okay. You're telling me something you noticed, and it sparks an immediate related thought for me. Something I feel needs saying right then.
Casually sharing. I went for a walk earlier down by the river, and honestly, the amount of plastic trash washed up on the bank was just depressing. Really made me think.
Leading in slightly, connecting. Wow, yeah. Can I just say something quickly? Seeing that reminds me, did you see that article about the new river cleanup initiative they're starting next month?
Oh, really? No, I missed that. Tell me more.
See how, can I just say something quickly? Worked there.
Yeah, it felt natural. You linked your thought directly to mine. Right. It was sparked by your comment. Seeing that reminds me, so asking permission, can I just say, feels polite, even among friends, because you're consciously inserting your related point and quickly reassures them it's just a brief detour.
It felt like you were building on my point by asking for a moment, not just changing the subject. Very smooth.
Exactly. It connects your interruption to the flow. Okay, final one. Team brainstorming, maybe on a call. Someone's listing ideas and you accidentally start talking just as they finish or pause slightly.
Okay, I'm throwing out marketing ideas. So we could do targeted social ads, maybe some influencer collaborations, definitely email marketing. Takes a tiny breath.
Start speaking simultaneously, then stops instantly. What about the podcast series? Oh, please finish. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Seamlessly continues. Thanks. Yeah, and maybe some guest blog posts too. Good idea on the podcast series. Let's add that. What else were you thinking?
That immediate stop and recovery is so useful, right?
Super useful, especially online where lag makes overlaps common.
Exactly. Stopping yourself and using, please finish, I didn't mean to interrupt, is crystal clear. It ensures the first person finishes their thought, avoids confusion, makes sure all ideas get heard. Critical for good teamwork.
It clearly says, my bad, floor is yours again. Prioritizes their completed thought.
Precisely. Maintains efficiency and respect.
Okay, hearing those acted out, that really helps solidify how they sound and where they fit. Much better than just reading them.
Absolutely. But the real goal here is for you, the listener, to feel comfortable actually using these phrases yourself. Hearing us is one thing. Practicing is the next level.
Yes. This is your turn, listener.
Yeah.
We're going to give you a few scenarios, and seriously, we encourage you. Pause the deep dive and actually say the phrase out loud. Don't just think it, speak it. It helps lock it in.
Builds that muscle memory for smoothing things over.
All right, scenario number 1. You're out for coffee with a friend. They're telling you this great story, really getting into it. You suddenly remember a perfect, hilarious detail related to their story, and you kind of blurt it out right when they were building up to the best part. What phrase do you use to apologize and get them back on track? Okay, did you pause? Give it a try. Here's one effective way you could handle that.
Sorry to interrupt. What were you just saying about the ending? Or, sorry, I jumped in. What happened next?
And why does that work well there? Sorry to interrupt, or just sorry. Is friendly, informal, then immediately asking something specific like what were you just saying about or what happened next shows you were listening. You realize you cut them off at a key point and you genuinely want them to finish their story.
Right. It centers them again, uses a simple apology, and redirects straight back to their narrative, maybe even pinpointing where you cut in.
Okay, situation 2. You're in a virtual team meeting. Your boss is explaining a pretty complex project dependency. Suddenly you realize, a critical piece of info about that exact dependency. Maybe something changed that they need to know now. Otherwise, their whole explanation might be slightly off. What phrase lets you interject politely but effectively? All right, did you practice that one? How did it feel? Here's a phrase that really fits this more professional, urgent info context.
My apologies for jumping in, but I believe that dependency was actually updated in yesterday's sync.
Why is this a good choice here? My apologies for jumping in strikes that professional tone. The but signals crucial, relevant information follows. That dependency was actually updated. You're justifying the interruption because the information is timely and directly impacts the accuracy of the current discussion point.
It allows you to correct or update politely within that professional structure. Direct, clear, explains the necessity.
Perfect. Okay, final practice scenario for you, listener. You're just chatting with a family member, maybe catching up. You both start talking at the exact same second. Total accidental overlap. You immediately stop yourself, realizing they probably started fractionally first, or just wanting to be polite. What's the smoothest phrase to recover and let them go first? Okay, last one. Did you give it a shot? This happens all the time. Here's that super effective recovery phrase.
Please finish. I didn't mean to interrupt.
And why is this the gold standard here? It's that clear two-step process again. Please finish. Unambiguous instruction, tells them to keep going, removes any awkward hesitation. I didn't mean to interrupt. Clear apology for the accidental clash. It just instantly resolves the collision.
Puts the focus back on them, ensures their point isn't lost in that awkward shuffle. Simple, clear, very gracious, like a verbal after you.
Fantastic. Seriously, listener, practicing these out loud is the key. The more you do it, the more they'll just pop out naturally when you need them.
Exactly. They need to be right there, ready to go for those inevitable moments.
So wrapping up this deep dive, I think the main thing is interruptions happen. They're totally normal, part of how we talk. We all do it.
Often completely by accident.
Right. But understanding the potential impact, that feeling of being unheard, and having these specific tools, these 5 phrases we talked about, to politely smooth things over, That's actually a really powerful communication skill to have.
It really is. It's just a few words. It seems like a small thing, but it sends a big message. Respect, awareness, valuing the conversation over just getting your own words out. People genuinely notice and appreciate it when you acknowledge an interruption.
Absolutely. So our challenge to you, the listener, just be a little more mindful in your next few conversations. Notice when you interrupt and when it happens. Take a breath, pick one of these phrases that fits, and consciously use it.
See how it feels? Notice the reaction. Does the conversation flow better afterward?
Yeah. And maybe take it a step further, like you hinted at earlier. As you practice apologizing outwardly, maybe turn that awareness inward a bit too.
Right. Like, why do I tend to interrupt in certain situations? Am I just excited? Am I impatient? Worried I'll forget my point? Understanding your own patterns. That's another level of mastering conversation.
That's a really interesting angle. Knowing the why behind your own interruptions, and maybe also thinking about the flip side.
How it feels when you get interrupted.
Exactly. Especially comparing how it feels when someone just steamrolls over you versus when they offer one of these quick, polite apologies.
That contrast really drives home the value of these simple phrases, doesn't it? It shows how just a little bit of conscious communication can make a huge difference in making people feel properly heard and respected.
It's an ongoing journey, isn't it? The whole art of conversation, something to keep practicing. So make sure you subscribe to Daily Easy English Talk so you don't miss it.
Please do. And maybe share us with a friend who's also working on their English conversation skills.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Bye.